Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL Game Week 34 review, Game Week 35 preview. Just 4 game weeks left, and what an action-packed one with City and Arsenal going toe-to-toe this week, and Manchester United and Liverpool facing off in one of the biggest battles in the north of UK. So let's have a look at what's happening in Durbanites FPL. RoboKlopp still safely at the top, losing a bit of ground over a couple of weeks, but still almost 200 points in the lead. It looks like it's all said and done, but you never know. First and second, pretty safe there at the top. Big gaps in between, but from third to seventh, look at that. Less than 20 points separates the next 5 teams. So the battle is well and truly on. And we're seeing that every week, a rotation in terms of who comes up and who stays down. Currently, Zax is up on third, and then Zahida on fourth. Then you've got Atta after that, Hassan, and then Azra. Then of course, Fatih is in there as well with Fantasy, just a little bit behind that. Then a bit of a break, and then you've got Mubin, the champ, trying to make a comeback there. It is a bit late to cover up 200 points, but never say never. And then, of course, Aluboy slipping to 10th. Just behind him now is Fatality, trying to also get into the top half of the page before the end of the season. A lot of movement also lower down in the table. The battle is on to see who can finish up on top. But with that, let's jump in to the cup as well. So as we discussed last week, buys for all of these teams that had a great result in game week 33. And then looking at it, these were the preliminary matches of 5 head-to-head clashes, and as a result, Jurassic Champ is out, so both my sisters out, Ami and Ansu both out unfortunately. Zahru, both her teams crashing out unfortunately as well, and one of Umair's teams also joining them. So Gunner FC, Plunder FC, Fantasy FC, Frosty FC, and Alu Boys FC. So all these FCs getting through to the next round. And what that does is set up a really good clash in the Durbanites Cup going into the round of 16. So looking at what that looks like, looking at the left side, Fatality taking Alu Boys, a lot of cousin on cousin battles happening here as well. Fatih FC taking on Frosty, so you got Hassan and Fatih in that one. Then Umair taking on his auntie inside, that's a good head to head. And then here's a fight happening within the couple here. Zakia and Mubin going to take each other on in the round of 16 for a knockout. And then you've got 2 father and daughter clashes there. Azra and I taking on each other in round of 16, and also my bhai taking on Fatih in the round of 16. So that's going to be very interesting. RoboKlopp Suad at the top is taking on Goose down at the bottom. Not sure if he'll make any changes to his team this season. And then you've got Pots and Pans FC at the bottom with Atta on Winchester City. So that's going to be the round of 16 action. Once the round of 16 is over, there'll be a redraw. So there's no guarantee that these brackets will play out the way it's looking here on screen today. But of course, we'll keep updating that. Now, looking at the player selections as well, what did we see? Staples, everyone is just a little bit off the center as well. So we've got Antoine Semenyo, now the most owned player, 65% as at last week. Erling Haaland at 60%, making his way back into favor. And then Gabriel Magalhaes on 55%, slipping a little bit as Arsenal start losing their firm iron grip that they had on the league. Now, looking at the differentiators for last week, a lot of names that we didn't expect to come up. So Igor Jesus, 5%. So one manager had him there, 14 points for him in the week. Fantastic for Notts Forest, a 5-0 win that no one predicted. Then you've got Ryan Sessegnon as well doing the job for Fulham. Just one manager had him on the team. Jared Bowen, Joachim Anderson from Fulham, Casemiro and Alexis McAllister all having 2 managers that had the faith in them as well. And David Raya with 4 managers getting onto the differentiators list as well with 10 points. Now, looking at the hits and misses, nothing out of the attacking for that week, especially since the selection didn't cover that. But in defense, 20 plus points for Suad, Mobs, Didi, Hassan, and my Pine, and 30 plus points for Zion Scoosh, being really, really well on the defensive side. No misses this week. Everyone came out pretty much where they expected to in a big blank game. Now, looking at what that meant for our best possible selection, as you can see, David Raya getting the number 1 jersey, Sal's ending up on the bench. Then Gabriel Pedro Porro and Joachim Anderson making up the back 4, leaving Saliba and Van de Ven on the bench. Ryan Sessegnon gets his start in the Premier League lineup, as does Casemiro, McAllister, Dewsbury, Hall, and Anderson, all lining up side by side. And then just two strikers up front, Jared Bowen and Igor Jesus. Igor Jesus getting the captain's armband as well, and Benjamin Sesko, no place for him on the field this week, so he gets the bench. That would have got you 128 in a very much reduced game week, with 156 including the bench. Total cost of 87. So for those that's still holding out on a wild card, this might be a team you want to try and replicate. Definitely affordable. Now, looking at the matchups for this week coming up, as you can see, guys, 4 game weeks left and a big double game week coming up next week, the last one of the season. Manchester City playing twice and Crystal Palace as well. Let's look at what that looks like. So Aston Villa, Bournemouth, and Brentford are the ones that we're choosing. Villa because they have a good run against Spurs. They could relegate them this week if Spurs lose this one. Then they've got Burnley, who we know are already relegated, before they take on Liverpool and Manchester City in the last 2 games. Now Villa are still chasing, as they're in the Champions League spot, they're still chasing that. And of course, they lost midweek against Forest in the Europa League, so they might really want to hold on to that spot. That is confirmed. Bournemouth are on fantastic form. They've got Crystal Palace, who have again played on Thursday and play again next week Thursday. So it's going to be a very choked fixture for Crystal Palace. They might indeed let this game go because they are very much safe in the middle of the table. Then they've got Fulham before going on to City and Forest at the end. Bournemouth is in fantastic form, as Arsenal can attest to. Then you've got Brentford, you've got West Ham before they run into a few tough matches along the way, but they have been doing well. Keith Anderson team have been the surprise package this season. Chelsea and Crystal Palace are ones that we're warning against. Chelsea are just not on form. Liam Rosenior is now out. Callum McFarland is taking over for the rest of the season. He has got a win against Leeds in the FA Cup, so maybe he's off to a great start, but I'm not sure how that'll translate in league form. Very, very tough games for them ahead. And then you've got Crystal Palace, who again have Bournemouth this week. It's a tough one coming on the back of their Europa League matches. Then they've got another Europe match midweek, and then a double game week coming up in game week 36, where they also take on Manchester City. It's a very tough run in for Crystal Palace, but they are pretty safe and snug in the middle of the table, so I don't think too much of a concern for them. They're probably going to try for that Conference League tie. Then you've got Leeds that we're calling out this week. A good game for them as well against Burnley. They don't have anything else to focus on now. It's all about the league for them this week. This season. So let's see how they go. And they've got Burnley. Then they have a chance to again relegate Spurs if it's not already done before they take in Brighton and West Ham. It's not a bad run-in for them. Liverpool take on United this week. They've not been on the greatest form. They do have 3 wins on the trot, but haven't been fantastically convincing. Ugo Ekitike is out, and Alexander Isak is in, probably going to get his start and go 90 minutes. So let's see how that's going to work out. Then they've got Chelsea next week to see what they can do there. Aston Villa the week after that, and Brentford. Important to note that all 4 teams are challenging for Champions League and Europa League spaces, so it's not an easy run-in for Liverpool at all. And then, of course, Man City taking on Everton this week. We have given them a green light just because of their form currently. Everton is not an easy game for them. And then a double for them next week against Brentford and Crystal Palace. Then, looking at Forest, again, Forest have won on the midweek. They are still in the relegation fight thanks to wins for West Ham and Spurs last week. They've got Chelsea this week. It's a chance for them to put some light between them and Chelsea, but they do not have easy games. Chelsea, Newcastle, Manchester United, and Bournemouth. Form might play a part in this one here, but at this moment in time, it's still all to lose for Notts Forest. Then you've got Spurs themselves, and then Sunderland this week. So Sunderland have Wolves, so a chance for them to really beat up on a relegated side before they take on United, Everton, and Chelsea in the next 3 weeks. And of course, Wolves, based on their form currently, we're not recommending them, but could be a good outside hunt. Now, with that, let's have a look at our recommendations. Guys, Liverpool have some serious issues in goalkeeper. So Alisson is still doubtful, hasn't been training with the team, so not likely to play. Ahmedashvili is for sure out. But you have a chance now with Women, who's been not so bad for Liverpool, but he is coming up against a new and lethal Manchester United attack. Not sure how that's going to work out this week. Definitely Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate, they have got their work cut out for them. Vicario's out for Spurs, so expect Kinski to feature against Villa. For the picks, we're looking at Roofs at Sunderland, Darlow at Leeds, Pickford for Everton, and Kelleher there. And of course, Kinski is an outside bet if you want to go for that. From the defense, a lot of players missing. Timber's definitely out for Arsenal, and they're feeling that. Colwell and James out for Chelsea. Sher and Livramento out for Newcastle. Guardiola and Ruben Diaz out for Manchester City. Cuti Romero is probably going to miss the rest of the season for Spurs. Bijol is still doubtful for Leeds, but Goodmanson is definitely. But still looking at the recommendations, Collins from Brentford and Coyote are the two that we would recommend for this week. Mukiele, Alderete or Ballard, take your choice based on the cash that you have available for Sunderland. And then Struck and Rodon for Leeds, because Bijol is of course doubtful, but you can take a chance on him as well if you have him. And then of course we've got Gabriel and Saliba from Arsenal. Not an easy game, but of course we know that Arsenal can be quite stingy at the back. Looking at the midfield, a lot of issues with Spurs. So Kudus and Xavi Simons are now out. Rodrigo Betancourt is back though, and James Maddison should be starting at some stage, especially with Xavi Simons out. But Spurs are in a lot of trouble with injuries. Mikel Merino still out for Arsenal. Grealish out for the season for Everton. Gordon is doubtful, but might probably play for Newcastle. Okafor also doubtful for Leeds, but might play in order to give them a good run. Estevan is definitely out for Chelsea. Cunha is a bit doubtful for Manchester United, but I think he'll want to play in this match against Liverpool. Salah's for sure confirmed out by Slot for the match on Sunday, and he'll probably be back for the next game at home for Liverpool. Ryan Sessegnon, after having a fantastic week last week, is out, as is Alex Iwobi. Our picks, though, we still go for Aston Villa, Morgan Rogers and John McGinn. Douglas Luiz hasn't really been putting in the performance we expect, so I don't recommend him. Enzo Lefebvre for Sunderland as a creative midfielder. Morgan Gibbs-White has been coming into great form now for Forest. Crescencio Somerville again for West Ham. Dewsbury Hall after his performance last week. Definitely recommending him for Everton. Wirtz for Liverpool because he has been showing some signs of life and could trouble the Manchester United defense. Aronson, Ampadu, Stach, and Okafor for Leeds. Take your choice based on the money that you have. Okafor, though, just to remind you, is doubtful, so might have some limited minutes. The rest seem to be just fine. Django Otara and Schade end our recommendations for the midfield for Brentford. Definitely good attacking options there. Then we look at the forwards as well. Eddie Nketiah is out for Crystal Palace. And Ekitike definitely out for Liverpool. Then you've got Beto for Everton, who's doubtful but should play. Kai Havertz is also doubtful for Arsenal, so expect maybe Victor Gyökeres to start this week. And Solanke is highly doubtful for Spurs, but it's most likely that he will not start and not play. It looks like he's done his hamstring last week in that win against Wolves. So our picks, Erling Haaland is coming on back to great form, and Manchester City will need him to score if they're going to secure this Premier League title. Igor Thiago has been doing well as well, so you got him again for Brentford before they get into some tough matches, so look at selling maybe in the next week. Ollie Watkins hasn't done well last week, but Aston Villa are on good form and taking on a Spurs side that is in trouble, so look at them to be very aggressive and attacking as they try and secure the Champions League spot. Jarrod Bowen for West Ham, of course he's the talismanic striker, so a chance for him to get some points as well. Victor Gyökeres for Arsenal. In the event of a penalty, he is now the chosen penalty taker for Arsenal, and if not, possibly a chance for him to play and do something in open play. It's a good matchup between Gyökeres and Sesko for those that have been following that transfer drama in the summer. Gyökeres was highly tipped to go to Manchester United, and Ben Sesko highly tipped to go to Arsenal, and in a strange change they ended up going to the opposite team. So the first time they played, they didn't get a lot of time in front of each other. This time they might get a chance to go head to head. It's quite exciting. Then you've got Richarlison here for Tottenham. Because of Solanke's injury, he's probably going to get the start. Robbie for Sunderland because of the fixture they have, and then Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Leeds taking on Burnley. He's probably going to start, and I would definitely favour him to pick up some points this week. So guys, that's all we have. Don't forget that it is a Friday deadline, 7:30. Don't miss it. It's only 4 weeks left, and anything you do or don't do before the deadline is going to count for your cup run as well, so you know who you're versing. And don't forget that if you make more than the free transfers that you have and lose points, that does count towards your cup score. So be very careful with the changes that you make. Alright guys, that's all we have for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, let us know who's going to win the derby in the north there between Manchester United and Liverpool. And until next week, good luck.